All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth, with Ben Jokes. Tension in Bayelsa as gunshots disrupt rally held by FCT Minister Wike's loyalists. Now, all things being equal, I am not a supporter of violence, but people must know that they don't have monopoly of stupidity. There should be a limit to madness. How can you hold a pro-Wike rally in Bayelsa State? What is the connection? Is Wike a presidential candidate? Is he contesting for anything? Is he a former governor of Bayelsa State? What is his connection with Bayelsa State? They will collect 2,000 naira or 5,000 naira and gather to promote our oppressors. And you think we won't come to a point where people will begin to repel them? If anyone got shot in that pro-Wike rally in Bayelsa State, I have no pity for such a person. These are the same fools who sell us out during elections. How can anyone still yield themselves to be used by the APC with the level of disaster we are witnessing under that evil party? And few hours ago, a very disgusting update came out of Aso Rock. Aso Rock gave an explanation for the installation of the 10 billion naira solar mini grid, and Nigerians were stunned by the heartless explanation they gave. And just as we're yet reacting to that, the grand scheme of terrorists in Plateau State was exposed. Terrorists have started changing the names of Plateau communities that they have conquered. They have renamed over 64 communities, and their aim is to rename the entire state after conquering most of the local governments and communities, with the connection of the Fulanis in government, with the connection of the Fulanis in National Assembly, because they are all in this together. If you don't know that now. Before I show you details of these top stories and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you this video. This interview affirms all that I have said the governors of troubled states should do. If in the next 2 to 3 weeks we don't see these governors doing the things that they discussed in this video, then they are complicit. Let's watch the video.
That doesn't work. You now go to the micro level, another level of peace building, which, like I said, is supported by the literature, which is using communal effort to build peace in the community. And it's simple, like the literature equally says, it means the first line of defense when it comes to strengthening the fort, the communal fort, like I said, should be the people. The people will have a sense of belonging, that the community belongs to us. Nobody is coming from outside to come and protect you if you don't do it yourself. So we cannot, this old and tested method of believing that the security agencies will protect you, it's not working. So we need to create, as a country, another layer of protection so that the community are empowered to be able to defend themselves against external marauders.
And presumably your newspaper, because a number of media organizations, I think Vanguard, a few others, have endorsed this. Presumably your newspaper, Daybreak, has as well.
Yeah, we endorse it on the basis that, look, if you look at Nigeria, I've listened to the Director General of the DSS speak about this issue. I've looked at the pros and the cons. Some people will say, look, doesn't it amount, I'm playing the devil's advocate a little here, doesn't it amount to the state shirking its responsibility? Because if you look at section 14, chapter 2 of the Constitution, it states clearly, look, that the security and welfare of the Nigerian citizens is the responsibility.
Yeah, but the argument could be made that those people in the community, you're going to train them as police. They're just vigilantes. They're called vigilantes, but they're simply another layer of the state, because the state is training them to become police people. Just like you take people, they apply for a job, you train them, and that's it.
You've answered my question. That's because I was actually looking at the argument against it.
Right.
That it amounts to the state, dumping its responsibility to the community. And what I'm trying to say, which you have emphasized, is no, that's not the case. Because the state will equally be involved in the training of these local vigilantes.
The state incorporates them into its system.
Take ownership of it, provide the regulatory basis for it to work, look for trusted people, not jobless people, people who have who are stakeholders in those communities to be able to contribute to the security of those communities. Because whether we like it or not, there's nowhere in the world where you have security, where you can have security presence, agencies being present 247 every day of the week throughout the year. It's not possible.
You heard that. The DSS boss has told governors, they have told citizens that they cannot police everywhere at the same time. Analyst after analyst have held this same view that states should organize youths, train them and arm them. Any governor who continues calling on National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu to come and secure his state is either affirming that he is completely useless or that he has a hand in insecurity in his state. Special reference to Benue State Governor, who is always talking about, I've spoken with NSA Ribadu. Oga, stand up and defend your state. How can they be displacing your people from their homes daily for years now, and you are still calling on Ribadu? Ribadu and his likes, who cannot even be trusted in all this. These governors should better get up and act. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that disgusting update from Aso Rock explaining why they installed a 10 billion naira solar mini grid. And next is that terrible report coming out of Plateau State. Terrorists renaming over 64 communities that they have conquered with the ultimate aim to rename the state. Let's start by taking that update on the solar panel. Look at how the papers reported it. Breaking news. The federal government has explained its decision to install solar panels at the Aso Rock Villa. The Director General of the Energy Commission of Nigeria, Mustafa Abdullahi, said it is unsustainable for the Aso Rock Villa to continue to pay about 47 billion naira yearly in power bills. He said that this is why Bola Tinubu approved 10 billion naira for the solar power grid to power the presidential villa. So what these guys are telling us in essence is that they have been paying around 47 billion naira annually for light bills in the presidential villa. First of all, the 47 billion naira annual bill is a scam. There is an inflation from AEDC themselves. That is, the people bringing the light, they inflated the bill. Then right there in Aso Rock, the bill was further inflated. Some people are pocketing at least 30 billion naira out of that 47 billion naira. And I am very sure that the Chief of Staff, Gbajabi Amila, must take his own share. SGF, George Akume, must take his own share. Then the Star Boy VP, Sheyi Tinubu, must also take his own share. And several other people that will touch out of it. And at the end of the month, they still remit to Sheyi Tinubu and Remi Tinubu. Because they know that you are allowed to perpetrate corruption within the villa. So that at the end of the month, you will now bring proceeds of your corruption to Remi Tinubu and Sheyi Tinubu. And another point to take here is that if Aso Rock is running away from light bill, then what of other Nigerians? Have they thought about that? Have they sat down to say, Kai, if these people are charging us this much, then they must be charging Nigerians the same way. What are we going to do about it? Nigerians are having to pay from their meager resources. But these guys are not thinking about that at all. They are only concerned about themselves. They installed a solar panel for themselves. And the money that they are trying to reduce, corruption will not allow them to reduce it, because even the 10 billion naira budgeted for the solar mini grid is extremely inflated already. Before you know, maintenance costs will come in. They will inflate everything. They will go back to that same 47 billion naira, because strategy cannot work where corruption dwells. Corruption is APC and Tinubu's second name, and they will never stop being shamelessly corrupt. And this tweet here by Abidakun Anthony says, so Aso Rock Villa's reported power bill is around 27.65 million US dollars per year. The US White House power bill costs less than 350,000 US dollars annually. The Buckingham Palace power bill costs less than $7 million annually. The Elche Palace, France, power bill costs less than $1 million annually. Zhongnanhai, China, power bill costs less than $5 million annually. South Africa Presidential Villa, power bill costs less than $1.27 million annually. Nigeria presidential villa spending far beyond average despite the fact Nigeria ranks way lower in GDP. Nigeria has a long way to go. It's such a shame. Add what they spend as power bill in about 5 of the countries mentioned here. It is still far below what we spend in Nigeria. In Aso Rock, where they do nothing. Meanwhile, these other countries are productive. It's such a shame. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that update from Plateau State began making the rounds. Look at how the papers reported it. Bandits attack, rename over 60 Plateau communities. Contrary to claim by the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu that no part of this country is under the control of terrorists, investigation by Saturday Vanguard have revealed that no fewer than 64 communities in Plateau State have been invaded and occupied by terrorists, some of which have been renamed after the original inhabitants were driven away. The situation is similar in neighboring Benue State, where 2/3 of the communities are presently under the control of foreign invaders, while the displaced natives are languishing in internally displaced persons camps. Farmers have also been chased away from their ancestral homes in Plateau State during the administration of former Governor Jonah Jang and Simon Lalong. The Birom tribe, who are found mainly in the Barkin Ladi, Jos North, Jos South, and Riyom local government areas, raised the alarm about invasions and displacement of the natives by strange faces in collaboration with some known people. They pointed out that in some instances, the insurgents renamed the seized communities, but many people doubted and trivialized the claim as the attacks later extended to the Irigwe chiefdom in the Basa local government area of the state. Now, over 64 communities taken over by Fulani terrorists, and the communities have been renamed. They have been given Fulani names. The names of the original inhabitants have been cancelled, abrogated. Now these communities are bearing Fulani names. Give them more time. It will be 100 communities taking over. Before you know, 200 communities taking over. Before you know, the entire state will be in their hands. And through the Fulanis in the National Assembly, they will start pushing to rename the state. Some of you think that these things are not possible. So what do you think they are doing renaming those places? We just read in Benue State, 2/3 of the local governments taking over. What do you think these people are driving at? Do you think they are joking? Go to Kwara State and see what Fulanis that settled. Only about 50 of them settled at the first instance. Go and check what they have done in Kwara State now. They have taken over the whole place, to the point that the Oba of Ilorin was changed to Emir of Ilorin. This is what they have allowed in Nigeria. The APC is aiding the Fulani terrorists to do all this. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. This tweet here says, renaming the community in Plateau. Is this not the same state where the Nigerian leader, General Gowon, comes from? And as a retired general and former head of state, he had not issued any statement like his contemporary, General T.Y. Danjuma. These two general states are most under attack. Well, I don't know why. And Eva here says, the picture is becoming clearer. This is about forceful takeover. At this end, there is no way some top officials are not having hands in it. Of course, they have hands in it. That one has been established since. You can't be doing all this without the influence of these guys in power. And Adetutu here says, there is an ethnic cleansing going on in Plateau State, and the Nigerian government is looking away. Fulanis from Niger want to take over Plateau State. That is what they are doing. And like I said, they sat down when they were forming this merger, the CPC and the ACN merger that gave birth to the APC. The Fulanis sat down and they tendered it as their own requirement for the merger. I was not there, but I am in the spirit, and I'm telling you this was what they did. They told the Southwest ACN that we are interested in grabbing land, and you are going to allow us to grab some states. I'm sure they didn't mention Southwest states, but now they have pushed into the Southwest and they have started grabbing lands. What these guys are asking for is pure war. And you may sit down where you are now, you calculate that it is not possible. Well, in this generation, in the next 5, 6, 7 years, they may not be able to take the Southwest. But a generation will come that is not aware. We are talking 15, 20, 30 years from now. that is not aware of history. And these guys that have taken over the forest in your southwest, these Fulanis, they will tell your children that this is our land. They will tell your children that this is where we live, we were born here. This is the fire that Nigeria is playing with. And that is why we keep sounding this, that let us not allow this to happen. The APC are the ones sponsoring these people. They are not more powerful than the Nigerian state. You just hear their names, we call them terrorists, they say they wield AK-47 and all that. Yes, that is true. But if we had a sincere government that is willing to put all these things to rest, give it 6 months, you will not hear any of these things again. But we have a government that was formed with agreement with Fulanis. That is why it looks as if our security forces cannot surmount them. Anyway, I have made my point. The Fulani terrorists are after Plateau State. They want to grab the state, rename it, and make it their own. They have already renamed close to 64 communities in the state, and the battle is still on. The people have been told to stand up for themselves. The army is not coming to save you. Stand up for yourselves and begin to fight to reclaim the only land that you have. The same thing is happening in Benue State. Ethnic cleansing. 2/3 of the LGAs have been taken over. It doesn't get worse than this. The people have the might, they have the number. If they mean to reclaim all those communities that have been taken over, I am telling you, they will do it. But if they are waiting for security forces, more communities will fall because security forces are not coming. They have an agreement. Their commanders have agreement with these Fulani terrorists to do what they are doing. A word is enough for the wise. People of Plateau State, people of Benue, hear me again. Defend yourselves and take back your lands. Anyway, make I leave am here. Make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Now I dey here, so don't go away.